Before getting into this video, I should state for legal and health reasons I'm allergic to gunpowder and most cooking oils and have mental and physical disabilities and need a steady stream of medication.
Alright, what is up? And I am stoked to be doing another challenge today. I have been yearning to do another fitness-related challenge that doesn't involve alcohol or an inappropriately high amount of reps, or is just me maxing out on certain lifts that can be topped by a 15-year-old in high school that weighs 160 pounds. So with that in mind, it's kind of hard to come up with ways to challenge yourself in an entertaining way for a video. But today we are going to be going through the DJ Shipley, Navy SEAL gauntlet. He's a Navy SEAL dude, former Navy SEAL dude, kind of like a fitness influencer now. But everybody has probably seen the Mike Israetel rendition of this challenge where he goes through, he does the broad jump, they got broad jump, half mile, bench press body weight, pull-ups, some sort of Hex Bar Deadlift challenge, a farmer's carry challenge, a plank challenge, and I'm pretty sure that's it. If I'm missing something, I'll, put it in the captions or whatever. But we're going to be going a little out of order today, and it's going to be a little more unconventional because I do not own a military-grade gym. I got my home gym, and I got an Anytime Fitness membership. So what I'll be doing is I'll start with the half mile, and that is pretty unconventional too because I don't have half a mile perfectly measured out. There's a stretch in my neighborhood that's like 0.6 miles. And then I can throw on a Fitbit and see how far I can I can just check my watch, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. I'll find a stretch and just keep checking my watch. And I can put all of the standards. There's the standard, elite, and pro level results for each of these challenges. After my body's warmed up from the half mile, I'll go to the gym and we'll get the grip stuff out of the way, which will be the Hex Bar Deadlift, followed by the farmer's carry. I'm going to do it out of order of the video, and I don't think that's that big of a deal, but yeah, then I'll come back here and I'll do the broad jump, pull-ups, bench press, plank, and is there anything I'm forgetting? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to get into the half mile run right now. Alright, so our neighborhood is about 0.6 miles for one of the half loops. So I have my Fitbit set at 0.5 miles, and we're just going to run the 0.6 as hard as we can and come back and then see how we did for our actual 0.5 goal, which should track on the Fitbit. So, just going to gun it.
Fear left brain.
Don't say we can't, oh, just don't say another word. These thoughts you've imagined aren't real, aren't adding up. You fetched your ideas from nowhere, all from another world. Your logic's impaired, your full picture is cropped. Cause we both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, I say if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pound for our sake, cause this ain't the end. so far off, oh, it's like you can't see ahead. These feelings you've caught don't make sense. Your plan's gonna flop. You keep raising doubts without cause. All you feel is dread. My logic is fair. If it's pain, it's ever gonna stop. Cause we both know that one day he's not gonna cry again. Without doubt, it's my say, if all's gonna mend. We both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout for our sake, cause this ain't the end.
So for someone who trains cardio, the half mile is pretty hard. Tragically, our Fitbit stopped working about halfway through when I slipped. But we got the rough distance measured out in our neighborhood, so we should be able to take the time of the camera that was constantly recording and calculate about what our half mile is. It's gonna be shabby, and I know I wouldn't lie to you, I do train cardio, but I think it's that middle distance that I need to work on. Like something that isn't a sprint and something that isn't like a 10-minute mile for like 6 to 10 miles. That's what I probably need to work on, the area in between there, because I think that's what that was and it kind of killed me, especially at a max effort. That was humbling. But anyway, it's only easier from here, I should hope. So my plan is go to the gym and we'll do trap bar deadlift and we will do some farmer's carries and then we will come back here and do the rest of it. I read that half mile at 9 out of 10 difficulty and I still think I achieved a suboptimal frickin' time, which is, you know, it sucks, but we can chop it up to being like our warm up. The air was cold. The air was too cold to nasal breathe. You know how runners do the double inhale, exhale. It was too cold to do that through my nose. It kind of congested me a little bit and that threw things off a little bit too. And I should probably work on my cardio. So we're not going to dwell on that any further. We're just going to go crush the rest of our challenges. So I will see you guys at the gym.
Alright, so to warm up for the Hex Bar Deadlift, I did a deficit Hex Bar Deadlift, going up a plate each time, and then eventually adding my 25. I got this method from Eric Bugenhagen, and it's helped me quite a bit. I never Hex Bar Deadlift, actually, because I just want to get my straight bar deadlift pretty good. But I built up to 365 for one on the deficit deadlift using 2 of the red bumper plates. I have this little, blur thing here just to respect the confidentiality of the other Anytime Fitness worker outers. And then I just went straight into my 5 reps of 365. And this absolutely smoked my lower back. I get into it in a second here, explaining to you guys how much this one sucked, but honestly, pretty good exercise because it combines the squat and deadlift, basically. So I might use this movement in the future.
Alright, so we just got back from the gym and I hit a lower back pain PR doing that deadlift, and I'm pretty sure that the pro level Hex Bar Deadlift was to just do 1 of 2 times your body weight. And I did it for like 5 because I thought all of them were 5, and they very well could be. But I did do 5. And that did stress the lower back quite a bit. As for the farmer's carries, I did 90s. They didn't have like 95s. I did 90s because, my grip's not the best, and it goes from 90s to 100s. And I definitely couldn't do 100s. For the sake of the video, I think I could make a little more of an effort out of doing 90s. And basically, the turf that I went across, like from the end of that last box all the way to the end of the turf, which is how far I walked, that was 40 of my feet steps, and my feet are 11 inches long. So I did 4 or if I did 40 times 11, which is 440, and then divided that by 12, which was 36.6. I rounded up since I add steps turning around because I didn't have a dead stretch to just farmer's carry forever. So I had to turn. So I just rounded up to 37 for that. And I made 2 down and backs, which equates to about 150 feet, which I fell short of the standard by 25 feet. So that one, I didn't even make standard, unfortunately. But now we're going to move on to the broad jump, and we're going to be doing it in the basement of my humble abode. So we are going to align our heel up with this here yoga mat and leap out and measure to our heel wherever it happens to touch down at. This a little. All right. Drop our little ping pong ball right there. And I'm going to measure the distance. This could be disappointing. This could be disappointing. So the ping pong ball. You can hold that. So our distance was actually 9 feet exactly. So if you'll come over here, that actually would be an elite level jump right there. And so I am 5'9". So to get to the max level, which is 4 feet above your height, I would need to get to 9'9". But that is a foot better than when I tested on the bare concrete, bare cartilage exposed back in October. And I probably had a mental limiter because I knew how hard it was on my cartilage to jump that far. Here we got the carpet, which is the modern era's grass. So, all right. Now we will move on to our pull-ups, then bench press, and then plank. I'm currently getting warmed up for the pull-ups, and this is the tricky part. So I don't imagine that the Navy SEALs or whatever get to use chalk for all these things. And they definitely don't get to use chalk when they're jumping out of bed getting ready to assassinate some world leader. So we're not using chalk, and for none of these have we used chalk. But the grip is still starting to go. So the pull-ups could prove difficult. I have gotten, I think my max pull-ups is 22 or something. And they're at the gym wonky angle, super high up pull-up bars. I have 3 prongs going different directions, making a W. It was one of those, and I think I can always get more pull-ups out of a good old school straight bar pull-up, especially if it's a skinnier bar. But anywho, we are going to at least try to get 15, because I know on a bad day we can get 15, especially if we're really bursting through, not being the slow eccentric and bursting up concentric, but if we're just bam, bam, bam. Still maintaining full range of motion, hopefully full form and stuff. I think we can get 15, but I'm telling you right now, the grip is going to be the first thing to go. I don't know if we'll get the pro level 20 reps. So I'm going to create, this should be a good angle where we are unable to really hide the form, depth, and arm locking out or lack of. So that will be the angle we use. No chalk, and we're just gonna hit it. I'm gonna go kind of a shoulder width grip and try to keep the abs tight, but all right. Oh, I don't know about that one. I kind of lost track. I don't know if I counted those accurately. My hands, you can definitely see the grip going. I think we fell short here. A lot of those reps, I mean, I would say like the last third, those reps definitely had some kip to them. So even though I fell short about 19 total reps, I think I am more of the elite level, maybe not pro level, with good form. On a good day, I do think I could get 20, but I think you're supposed to do these all in one day. So like the grip after the Hex Bar Deadlift and the farmer's carries, and even after the half mile, because the half mile, oh my goodness, that was probably the most exhaustive part right there, and I led with it. So I think we could have got 20 for sure. But I mean, I'll take 19 with all of the elements into consideration. I know I'm a pro level puller upper, and there was a little bit of kip to those, but I think most of them we got the chin over the bar and descended all the way down. So that's what's important. Now I'm going to warm up for bench, and we're going to go 185 on the bench. And this one is tricky because back in the day, I would go to football combines, and this was the high school combine bench weight, 185 was. And I think I topped out at 17 all time back then. So in theory, I should be better at this now, but I haven't tested my max 185 rep out since then. So we'll see. All right, so we're gonna warm up with a 300-pound single. We pyramided up to this, mind you. And this is just to prime the body for heavy weight, or at least a lot of pressure on the tendons, so that while we're repping out 185, we don't accidentally snap something. This is just to kind of warm us up and get us ready for handling some weight, some resistance on the bench press. So, quick heavy single. All right, so we got 185 on the bar, and I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm so exhausted right now because this has been like a kind of a long ordeal, like kind of running outside, going to the gym, coming back, and getting right back to it, and the grip's diminishing and the CNS is getting tired. But anyway, we got 185. We're gonna rep this out. Probably nice and easy. We're going to try not to use too ballistic a form here. Not really utilize too much bounce. Alright. No belt either. I only use the belt on the farmer carries, and that's because I was worried about getting an injury after the really heavy Hex Bar Deadlift. Alright, that's all I got. Ooh. Ooh, that was perfect. I almost couldn't lock out right there. Alright, so we had to, after 21 reps of bench press, we had to take the shirt off and examine the pump. And you already know that like the pumps, the first couple weeks into the cut are always your worst pumps of your whole lifting career. But, and there's a science behind that, but our last challenge is to do a plank anywhere from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, standard being 2 minutes, elite being 2.5, and pro being 3. But for this whole challenge, we've actually not used music. No music, no chalk, no wrist wraps, nothing of the sort. I'm sorry, for the plank, I cannot be asked to just brute force, no music, withstand 3 minutes of being in a plank position. So I'm going to pop in the AirPods. Actually not AirPods, because we're trying to EMF minimize here. We're going to pop in the earbuds. and we're just going to try to see if we can withstand a brutal 3-minute plank. I've done it before, but you know, the chest is kind of smoked from that bench set. All right, hold on, let me prop this up with something real quick. Prop it up with this little dog toy. All right, I'm not playing any games about this plank. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna play a song that's like exactly 3 minutes long. And you're gonna see me get into plank position, and then I'm gonna press play, and we're just gonna stiff it out until the very end of the song. So, all right, plank position, and we're gonna hit play. And I will, I won't scroll. We'll be as strict as we can with this plank. So, yep. This is especially hard after the brute force trauma my back took on that Hex Bar Deadlift. Then my chest is kind of, you know, not so well suited to withstand this pressure, being a focal point in the plank position. And throughout the plank, I'll, you know, hit you with one of these, show the song progression. Nothing too hard, nothing too slow either, though. Trying to make it as fair as possible. When I was little, I could do a 5-minute plank. Then I put on some tactical girth in high school, and then after high school I started doing planks again, so I took a break while reaching for that tactical girth. And then afterwards, when I started doing some running, I started to get more into the functional fitness and started doing the plank in order to really train the brace, you know, part of your powerlifting movements. And I went up to a 4-minute 20-second plank. And I did that because weed number, and I didn't see any purpose in going any further. Didn't seem too practical. Whew. Alright, we're at the slow part of the song where she slows down a little bit, so I'm thinking we're in the home stretch, baby. Ooh. It's actually a little better than I thought. It's probably because we've done this brutal workout with no music. Now it feels like a literal amphetamine having music in the plank after being deprived for so long. The commentary is going to dwindle a little bit for this last probably 30 seconds. Alright guys. Oh, we're there. Almost there. So, see the song switched, but towards the end there, it like jangled this little doohickey loose because I got one of those phones where it's got to be like at a certain angle for the plug-in to count. So when I showed you guys the time, it jiggled that loose and paused it. So you actually had above 3 minutes, but all in all, the plank wasn't so bad. All right, I'm hoping that's a good angle right there. We can see how the cut is going. So first cut check-in in 2 weeks. So obviously the most important part of being a Navy SEAL is how good you look. And you know, just looking super duper cool. So we got the pump check. See how DJ Shipley's, you know, Navy SEAL battery test got us looking. Oof.
I don't know if you can see the quads from here. Yeah, the plank was not so bad. We got it done. And I would say with music, the plank was probably the easiest one. Without it, I would probably say I would imagine it would jump to the second hardest. I mean, the farmers, when you don't have it, you don't have it. That's how it is with grip. Like, just like, that's not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to hold on any better just by pushing it. When you don't have it, you don't have it. When you can't hold on, you can't hold on. And that's why grip's so important, because when you're dangling off the edge of the cliff, you either don't have it or you do have it. When you're pulling, Granny out from the car wreckage, you either have the car or you don't have the car. But I digress. The plank wasn't so bad. I'm going to review the footage and then do a little voiceover of me tallying up my results and comparing it to the standards. Alright, so I tallied up what the standards were. I got this off of his Instagram. You can also look it up too. And I just compared my results to the standards here. So I was able to score pro on my plank, broad jump, my bench press, and then my pull-ups were elite. But I'm very confident. I give myself 17 reps, but I'm confident that I can get 20 plus and get the pro level. My Hex Bar Deadlift was pro level, but it was very hard. And these are all ranked from easiest to hardest, by the way. So the half mile, even though I did pretty well, it was very hard. And my farmer's carry was not even standard. So obviously we know grip is what we need to work on. But anyway, this is a really fun challenge, and I highly recommend you participating in it as well. And thank you, DJ Shipley, for making this challenge. And thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. God bless y'all. Peace out, and I will see y'all next time.